In the hush of early morning, when the world still lingers between sleep and awakening, a gentle flutter brushes against the silence. It is not the heavy beat of a bird's wings, nor the quick buzz of a bee. It is softer, more fragile, like a whisper written on the air. This is the world of butterflies, creatures so delicate that their very presence feels like a fleeting dream. There are more than 20,000 species of butterflies known to science, and each carries with it a unique secret, a way of moving, surviving, or glowing in the light that no other creature shares. Though small and fragile, butterflies belong to one of the most remarkable orders of insects, the Lepidoptera, meaning you would see that every wing is made of countless tiny scales, layered like the tiles of a mosaic, glimmering as sunlight bends upon them. But perhaps the most enchanting truth is that butterflies are not simply born this way. Their lives unfold as a story of change, a tale of transformation told in 4 chapters. The egg, the caterpillar, the chrysalis, and finally, the winged being that dances with the wind. This cycle, repeated endlessly for millions of years, reminds us that life is not fixed, but a journey of becoming. And yet, for all their beauty, butterflies live fleeting lives. Some last only a week after emerging from their chrysalises, while others stretch into a few months. In that short span, they awaken at dawn, warm their fragile bodies under the sun, and spend their hours sipping nectar, finding mates, and leaving behind the next generation. Their time may be brief, but like a candle burning brightly, it is filled with purpose and wonder. As you listen, let your mind rest like a butterfly on a leaf. Picture the world through their fragile wings, colors richer than we can see, patterns shaped by both chance and survival, and a rhythm of existence tied so closely to sunlight that they seem like fragments of the day itself. Tonight, together, we will wander slowly through their hidden lives, discovering 100 gentle wonders that butterflies carry in silence. And so, the journey begins. Every butterfly's story begins not with wings, but with something so small and unassuming that you could easily overlook it. A butterfly egg, often no bigger than the tip of a pin, is laid carefully upon a chosen leaf. To the untrained eye, it may look like nothing more than a tiny bead of dew clinging to green. But within that fragile shell lies a secret waiting to stir. The mother butterfly is not careless in this act. She hovers in the warm air, sensing the plants below with her delicate antennae and feet. Only the right leaf will do, for it is not merely a resting place but the first meal her offspring will taste. She is guided by instinct, by chemistry written into her very being, to find the exact species of plant her young will need. This choice is a matter of survival. If she lays her eggs on the wrong leaf, her young will never awaken to life. Each egg is a miniature work of art. Some are round and smooth, others ridged like tiny sculpted lanterns. Under a magnifying lens, you would see astonishing designs etched by nature's hand, grooves, spirals, or delicate ridges that seem almost ornamental. Yet these patterns are not decoration alone. They serve to strengthen the fragile shell, protecting the life inside from rain, wind, and curious predators. Inside the egg, the miracle begins. The warmth of the sun seeps into the shell, awakening a pulse of life. The embryo stirs, cell by cell, shaping itself into a form entirely unlike the adult butterfly we know. For now, it becomes a larva, a caterpillar, small and hungry, designed for one purpose: to grow. But growth must wait. For days, sometimes longer, the egg rests in stillness. It clings to the underside of a leaf, swaying gently with the breeze, vulnerable yet protected by the mother's careful choice of hiding place. During this quiet stage, an entire future is held within a speck of life. The possibility of wings, of color, of flight. A reminder that every great transformation begins invisibly, in silence. If you close your eyes and imagine the scene, you may picture a forest glade bathed in morning light. Leaves tremble under the weight of tiny pearls, scattered here and there like stars fallen to earth. And within each one, a hidden story waits to hatch. As the shell finally softens and splits, the world prepares to welcome the next chapter of this fragile life. The arrival of the caterpillar, restless and hungry, ready to devour the green world around it. When the shell of the butterfly egg finally splits, the world greets a creature unlike the delicate wings we imagine. Instead, a small caterpillar emerges, soft-bodied and eager, driven by a single unshakable purpose: to eat. It is as though all the patience of the egg has gathered into a sudden urgency, a need to consume the world around it in order to grow. The caterpillar's first meal is often its own eggshell, a nourishing start, filled with the proteins it needs to fuel its first steps. Then, without hesitation, it begins to nibble the leaf on which it was born. Day after day, it eats, each bite carving away at the green, each meal a silent preparation for the wonder that lies ahead. It is said that some caterpillars can consume up to 200 times their body weight during this stage. Imagine a child eating enough food to outweigh an elephant, and you may begin to understand the enormity of this hunger. As the caterpillar grows, its body cannot keep pace with itself. The skin stretches, tightens, and eventually splits, giving way to a new layer beneath. This process, called molting, happens again and again, each time revealing a larger, stronger version of the same creature. Between meals, it rests in stillness, as though gathering strength for the next round of devouring. Then, once more, it chews and chews, never ceasing, never distracted. Yet even in this humble stage, there is beauty. The caterpillar's body may be striped or spotted, adorned with colors that warn predators of its bitterness, or help it vanish against the bark and leaves. Some wear crowns of spines or soft tufts, delicate defenses that hint at the fragility of their existence. Others are plain and green, blending so seamlessly into the foliage that they seem to disappear when they stop moving. Each carries a strategy for survival, a reminder that even the smallest lives are crafted with intention. To watch a caterpillar is to witness persistence in its purest form. It does not question its task. It simply eats, grows, molts, and continues. There is no thought of the wings that lie ahead, no awareness of the beauty it will one day become. And yet, hidden in its very cells, the blueprint for transformation is already written. In its body are dormant clusters of cells, waiting quietly, destined to one day shape wings, eyes, and a body completely unlike its own. The caterpillar lives in the present, unaware that every bite, every shed skin, brings it closer to becoming something entirely new. If you imagine this stage as a story, it is the chapter of endless appetite, the gathering of strength before a journey. Picture the still forest, leaves swaying in sunlight, and on one of them, a small creature with an enormous task. It is not graceful, not yet. But in its persistence, in its devotion to growth, it is already magnificent. At last, after days or weeks of relentless eating and shedding, the caterpillar feels a quiet calling from within. Its hunger slows. Its restless climbing grows deliberate, purposeful. Somewhere in the shelter of leaves, or on the underside of a branch, it chooses a place of safety, a quiet cradle, where its greatest transformation will unfold. Here, it anchors itself with silk, attaching firmly to the world it has known. Then, in an act that seems almost impossible, it begins to shed its skin one final time. But instead of revealing a larger caterpillar beneath, something entirely different appears. The chrysalis. Smooth, often jade green or golden tipped, it hangs like a pendant of glass. To the casual eye, it may look like nothing more than a shell. Yet within it lies one of nature's most astonishing secrets. Inside the chrysalis, the caterpillar's body dissolves. Muscles, tissues, even organs break down into a kind of liquid essence, as though the creature is unmaking itself. From this fluid, hidden clusters of cells, long dormant since the earliest days of the egg, awaken. These are the imaginal discs, the architects of the butterfly. They begin to grow, to shape wings, to carve out eyes that see differently, to assemble a body entirely new. It is a process so complete that it seems almost like death and rebirth entwined. And yet, The chrysalis itself gives little away. From the outside, it hangs silently, swaying with the breeze, offering no hint of the miracle inside. For days, sometimes weeks, nothing stirs. Predators may pass it by, mistaking it for a bud, a seed, or a piece of bark. The stillness is its protection, the silence its shield. If you imagine this stage with closed eyes, you may see it as a story of trust. The caterpillar, once so full of movement, has surrendered itself to stillness, believing in the transformation written deep within its being. It does not resist, it does not fight, it simply rests, cradled in its fragile case, while change takes place beyond its knowing. And then, as sunlight warms the days and the work within nears completion, the chrysalis begins to tremble. The shell darkens, becoming translucent, and faint colors, the whisper of wings, press against its walls. Soon, the stillness will give way to movement again. Soon, what was once a crawling creature will emerge as something light enough to ride the wind. But for now, in this part of the story, we pause with it in stillness, in waiting, in wonder. The chrysalis, which once hung so quietly, begins to stir. Its smooth shell, once opaque and jade-like, has grown thin and glassy. Through it, we see faint colors, blues, oranges, blacks pressed against its walls, like stained glass hidden beneath fog. It trembles with small, subtle movements, as if the being inside is testing the edges of its cage. And then, the miracle unfolds. With slow determination, the shell splits. A fragile creature pushes its way into the world, folding itself out of the narrow case that has held it for days, weeks, sometimes even months. It is not yet the graceful butterfly we imagine. Its wings are small and crumpled, its body swollen with fluid. It clings tightly to the empty chrysalis shell, vulnerable, as though unsure of this new existence. For a long while, it does not fly. Instead, it waits. The wings, damp and fragile, begin to stretch as fluid flows into them, inflating each vein, expanding each fold. Slowly, the colors brighten, patterns sharpen, and the once wrinkled forms spread wide like silken sails catching the morning light. The body, once heavy, grows lighter as the butterfly releases excess fluid, preparing for flight. There is a patience to this moment, a lesson in stillness after struggle. The butterfly does not rush. It knows, in some quiet way, that flight will come only when the wings are ready, and so it rests, gently fanning them in the warmth of the sun, allowing time to complete what transformation has begun. When at last the wings are dry and strong, the butterfly loosens its grip. With a delicate push, it rises unsteady at first, then surer, until it floats into the air. Its flight is not the hurried buzzing of a bee, nor the rigid beat of a bird, but a dance. Light, uncertain, graceful. It hovers, drifts, and glides, as though the air itself is carrying it on invisible currents. This is the final chapter of its transformation. From egg to caterpillar, from chrysalis to butterfly. Its life will now be brief weeks, perhaps months. But within that short time, it will sip nectar, scatter beauty, and ensure the cycle continues through its own delicate offspring. To watch a butterfly's first flight is to witness rebirth. What once crawled is now airborne. What once consumed leaves is now a messenger of light. And though its days are few, it reminds us that life, however fleeting, can be radiant, purposeful, and filled with wonder. So as the butterfly rises into the sky, let us rise gently with it into the next part of its story. When we think of butterflies, it is their wings that first enchant us. Wide and delicate, they shimmer with colors that seem almost unreal. Hues too bright, too luminous, too alive. But the secret of their beauty is found not in pigments alone, but in the astonishing architecture of their wings. Each butterfly wing is covered in thousands upon thousands of microscopic scales. If you were to look at them through a magnifying glass, you would see not smooth skin but a layered surface, like shingles on a roof or tiles on a mosaic. Each scale is a tiny, perfectly shaped piece of nature's artwork. Together, they overlap in patterns that catch the light, reflect it, bend it, and scatter it in ways that make color more radiant than paint could ever be. Some scales hold pigments, earthy browns or gentle yellows, created by chemical compounds. But many colors, especially the shimmering blues and iridescent greens, are not pigments at all. They are born of physics, microscopic structures that bend light into rainbows, the same way sunlight passing through a prism scatters into many hues. This is why the morpho butterfly of South America glows so brilliantly blue, even though its wings contain no true blue pigment. It is light itself, split and reborn, dancing on the scales. Run your imagination across a wing, and you might see how fragile it is. If touched, the scales can rub away, leaving behind tiny gaps, dull patches where the brilliance is gone. This is why we are told never to handle butterflies with bare fingers. Their beauty is delicate, borrowed from the smallest of details. And yet, these wings are not only for show. They are instruments of flight strong enough to lift the butterfly into the air, light enough to glide, flexible enough to twist in the shifting breeze. A butterfly may seem fragile, but its wings are perfectly adapted for the life it leads. Basking in the sun, drifting between blossoms, or even traveling thousands of kilometers across continents. There is poetry in this architecture. From a distance, the wings are banners of color, symbols of grace. Up close, they are intricate mosaics of nature's design. Each scale a reminder that beauty often lies in the smallest details. So the next time you see a butterfly pause upon a flower, imagine the hidden universe on its wings, thousands of tiny scales working together to capture the sunlight, to dazzle the eye, to whisper the story of light made visible. When we picture butterflies, our minds leap first to wings, bright sails drifting in the Sunday. Yet beneath those wings lies something just as essential, though often overlooked: their legs. Like all insects, butterflies have 6 legs. Slender and jointed, they look fragile. But they are remarkable tools, instruments for sensing, tasting, and even deciding where life will begin again. Each leg is tipped with tiny claws and sensory hairs. To us, a butterfly seems to rest lightly on a flower, but in truth, it is doing more than standing. It is tasting. For butterflies, the legs hold chemoreceptors, delicate sensors that can detect the sweetness of nectar or the bitterness of toxins. When a female lands upon a leaf, she does not merely perch. She samples its chemistry with her feet, testing whether it will be the right place to lay her eggs. Imagine if every step you took allowed you to taste the world beneath you, the grass, the stone, the flower. For butterflies, this is their constant reality. But not all legs are used in the same way. Some butterflies, like members of the Nymphalidae family, appear to walk on only 4 legs. Their front pair, smaller and tucked against the body, serve as sensory organs rather than tools for walking. They taste and touch, gathering information, while the other 4 legs bear the weight of movement. This small adjustment, invisible at first glance, reveals how finely adapted each species is to its unique way of life. To watch a butterfly land on a flower is to see elegance disguised as simplicity. It hovers, settles lightly, then folds its wings, balancing on legs no thicker than a hair. And in that moment, it is not only standing, it is sensing, tasting, learning. The flower becomes a table, a stage, a source of nourishment, and a nursery all at once. There is something poetic in this hidden function. While we see beauty in the wings above, the butterfly quietly reads the world with the feet below. Every step is a question asked, every landing a choice made, every flower a conversation whispered through touch and taste. So the next time you see a butterfly pause on a leaf, remember that it is not idly resting. Its delicate legs are working, tasting, and deciding, carrying out the quiet science of survival. To us, a butterfly seems fragile, fleeting, a small being with simple needs. Yet behind its delicate appearance lies a vision more expansive than our own. For butterflies do not see the world as we do. They look upon reality through compound eyes. Vast mosaics, made up of thousands of tiny lenses, each one a window capturing a fragment of light. While our human eyes hold a single lens in each, a butterfly's compound eyes are like shimmering domes, faceted like jewels. Imagine standing inside a cathedral of stained glass, each pane catching a different angle of sunlight, overlapping, merging, creating a world alive with flickering color and motion. This is how the butterfly sees, not as a single image, but as a tapestry woven from countless fragments of light. And what they perceive stretches beyond our human boundaries. Where our eyes detect only the visible rainbow from red to violet, butterflies see into the ultraviolet. Flowers that look plain to us may blaze with hidden patterns under their gaze. To the butterfly, each blossom carries invisible maps, guides traced in ultraviolet light, pointing to the nectar within. What appears as a simple yellow flower to us may shimmer with dark rings and glowing lines, a landing strip designed to lead them home. This expanded spectrum means their world is richer, brighter, more complex than ours. A meadow filled with wildflowers becomes, to them, a glowing constellation of signals, each bloom pulsing with secret light. Even the wings of other butterflies, adorned with ultraviolet patterns invisible to us, become messages, signs for recognition, for attraction, for survival. And there is another gift. Their compound eyes grant them extraordinary sensitivity to movement. Where we might overlook a sudden flicker in the grass, a butterfly perceives it instantly. For a creature so vulnerable, this is vital. A shadow crossing the ground, a leaf disturbed by a predator, the eyes register it, sending the butterfly fluttering to safety. To imagine their vision is to imagine a world painted in hidden colors, a universe overlaid with patterns our eyes cannot perceive. It is as though they live in a dream beside ours, parallel. Richer, more luminous. So the next time you see a butterfly drifting across the garden, remember that while you watch it with your human gaze, it watches a world far more radiant than ours. Its eyes hold galaxies of color, invisible to us yet vital to its survival. And perhaps, in knowing this, we too can learn to sense the beauty hidden in what seems ordinary. If wings are the banners of a butterfly's beauty, then its mouth is the instrument of its survival, though it hardly resembles what we think of as a mouth at all. Instead, butterflies sip the world through a proboscis, a long, flexible tube coiled neatly beneath the head like a tiny watch spring. At rest, it is hidden, curled tightly in a graceful spiral. But when the butterfly finds a flower, it unfurls this tube with a precision that seems both mechanical and magical. Slowly, delicately, it stretches outward, sliding deep into the flower's heart, where the nectar lies waiting. The butterfly does not bite or chew. It drinks. Drop by drop, the sweetness flows upward, drawn into its body, fueling its flight, its mating dances, its migrations across endless skies. The proboscis itself is a marvel of design. Formed of two half-tubes that zip together like a pair of straws, it can coil and uncoil countless times without breaking. Some species have proboscises so long they rival the body itself, designed for deep flowers that only they can reach. In this way, butterfly and blossom become partners, one offering nourishment, the other carrying pollen to the next bloom. It is a relationship as old as time, written in the language of survival and beauty. And yet, this tool is fragile. If damaged, a butterfly may no longer be able to feed. But nature has given it adaptability. When the proboscis first forms after the butterfly emerges from its chrysalis, the two halves are separate. The butterfly curls and unrolls them, pressing the halves together until they lock, sealing into a single tube. It is like a musician tuning an instrument before the first song, delicate practice before the performance of life. To picture it is to imagine a graceful ritual. The butterfly hovering, wings shimmering in the sun, then bowing its head, extending the slender coil, and drinking the hidden sweetness of the world. Each sip sustains not only the butterfly, but the web of life itself. For in feeding it also carries pollen, weaving connections between plants and future blossoms. There is something soothing in this image. A creature that does not take by force, but by gentleness. It does not rip, does not devour. It sips, patiently, delicately, reminding us that survival can be a quiet act of balance. So when you next see a butterfly at rest upon a flower, imagine the invisible spiral unrolling, the silent act of drinking that sustains both insect and bloom. It is a small miracle, repeated countless times beneath the sun, a reminder that even the simplest gestures can sustain entire worlds. When sunlight touches a butterfly's wings, it awakens something that feels almost otherworldly. The colors shimmer, shift, and glow, as though the wings were woven from fragments of sky and flame. To us, these hues appear effortless, but their origin is a story that combines chemistry with the quiet magic of light. Some of the colors come from pigments, the same way paint holds its tones. Browns, yellows, and oranges often owe their warmth to chemical compounds within the scales. These pigments absorb certain wavelengths of light while reflecting others, producing solid, steady colors that endure even in shadow. But pigments alone cannot explain the brilliance of a butterfly's wings. The dazzling blues, the iridescent greens, the hues that seem to glow from within these, are not made of color, but of structure. Tiny ridges and microscopic layers in the scales bend and scatter light in complex ways. This phenomenon, known as structural coloration, is the same trick that makes soap bubbles shine with rainbows and oil on water gleam with shifting hues. On a butterfly's wings, this play of light becomes art. Some species dazzle with flashes of blue that change as they move, so that a single wing beat can reveal an entirely new shade. Others shimmer in green or violet, as though their wings were crafted from liquid gemstones. The result is beauty that feels alive, responsive to the world, a constant dance between light and motion. There is purpose in this brilliance. Bright colors may attract mates, signaling strength and vitality. Iridescence can confuse predators, flashes of shifting color, breaking up the butterfly's outline. Even patterns, invisible to our eyes, hidden in ultraviolet, speak to other butterflies with silent signals we cannot perceive. Each wing is both artwork and message, survival encoded in beauty. If you close your eyes, you might imagine a meadow at noon, butterflies rising into the air, wings catching the Sunday. Each flutter is a flicker of light blues like deep oceans, yellows like fields of wheat, reds like fire in autumn leaves. It is not just flight, it is poetry written on the air, and perhaps this is why butterflies have enchanted us across centuries. Their colors remind us that beauty is not always fixed. It can shimmer, shift, and change with the light, as though inviting us to see the world differently each time we look. So the next time you glimpse a butterfly drifting by, pause. Watch how the colors ripple across its wings, how sunlight becomes story, how physics becomes wonder. For in those fragile scales, the universe itself has found a way to paint with light. In the emerald heart of South America's rainforests, sunlight filters through dense canopies, scattering into golden beams. Amid the shadow and green, a sudden flash of brilliance appears, a shimmer so bright it seems like a piece of the sky has fallen into the forest. This is the morpho butterfly, one of nature's most dazzling illusions. Its wings are not painted blue by pigment. In truth, there is no blue at all. Instead, each scale is crafted with microscopic structures that bend and scatter light. These layers reflect only the shortest wavelengths, the shimmering blues, while cancelling out the rest. The result is a hue so vivid, so intense, that it almost glows on its own. As the morpho drifts through the air, every shift in angle changes the way the light bounces, making the butterfly appear to pulse with living color. To predators, this brilliance is confusing. One moment, the butterfly gleams like a moving star. The next, when its wings close, the color vanishes, replaced by muted brown undersides, patterned like bark or leaves. Flash, vanish, flash again, a rhythm of appearance and disappearance that makes it nearly impossible to track. Beauty, here, is also survival. But the morpho is not only a trickster. Its glowing wings carry meaning in the rainforest. They serve as signals to other morphos, catching the eye from far away. They also remind us of the delicate balance between form and function. How light itself can be harnessed to create both wonder and defense. Imagine, for a moment, walking a quiet jungle trail. The air is warm, the canopy thick, and then, suddenly, a flicker of luminous blue drifts before you. It is not a bird, not a gem, but a living fragment of sky. The morpho's flight is slow, almost dreamlike, as though it carries no urgency, only presence. In cultures across the Americas, the morpho has long been a symbol of transformation and mystery. Its color is seen as a gift from the heavens, a reminder that even in the dimmest places, light can be caught and scattered into brilliance. To watch one is to feel a hush of wonder, as though the world has briefly paused to show you a secret. The morpho does not live long, only a few weeks, yet in that brief time it leaves behind memories of radiance that seem to belong to eternity. So when you think of butterflies shimmering in sunlight, remember the morpho, the phantom blue of the rainforest, a creature that carries light upon its wings, as if it were a living jewel. Not all butterflies shimmer with glowing blues or transparent silvers. Some carry a different kind of magic upon their wings, the illusion of eyes. These are the eye spots, bold, round markings that stare out from fragile wings, turning prey into something that seems far more dangerous than it is. At first glance, an eye spot may look like a painting. Circles of black, gold, or iridescent blue are set against softer backgrounds, like jewels on velvet. But these markings are not decoration alone. They are guardians, crafted by evolution to trick, to startle, to protect. Imagine a small bird swooping down upon a butterfly. To the bird, it is as though a larger creature is staring back, an owl, perhaps, or something it does not dare challenge. Startled, the predator hesitates, giving the butterfly the only chance it needs to escape. Sometimes the deception works differently. Predators may be lured into attacking the false eyes instead of the butterfly's body. A bite taken from the wing may wound, but the butterfly lives on, fluttering away with only a torn edge, where the illusion once glared. In this way, beauty becomes a shield, survival wrapped in patterns of fear. But not all eye spots are meant for enemies. Some serve as signals between butterflies themselves, part of the quiet language written on wings. Their size, brightness, or placement may help in choosing mates, ensuring that beauty does not only defend, but also connects. If you close your eyes, you might picture a meadow at dusk, shadows stretching long. A butterfly rests with folded wings, nearly invisible. Then, as a predator draws near, it flicks its wings open. Suddenly, two large eyes stare out from the grass, glinting with eerie light. The predator falters, confused. The butterfly lifts, silent and fragile, and is gone. There is a lesson in these illusions. Sometimes survival lies not in strength or speed, but in art. In the patterns of wings, nature has painted masks that ward off death. And in those masks, we glimpse how beauty can hold power, how even the smallest creature can borrow the image of something greater to endure. So the next time you see a butterfly with great dark circles on its wings, remember, you are not looking into its eyes, but into nature's disguise, a painting that has saved countless lives. Amid the lush forests of Central and South America lives a butterfly so delicate, it seems almost unreal. While most butterflies dazzle with bold colors or shimmering patterns, this one chooses invisibility. It is the glass-wing butterfly Greta Otto, a creature whose wings are not painted, but transparent, like panes of living glass. At first glance, you may not even see it. It hovers above flowers, its body slim, its wings bordered by fine, dark lines. But the centers of its wings are clear, letting the world beyond shine through. A leaf, a blossom, a shaft of sunlight, all remain visible through the fragile film of its wings, as if the butterfly were a ghost passing silently through the forest. The secret lies in the microscopic structure of the wing surface. Instead of reflecting light, like most scales do, the glasswing's scales are scattered irregularly, disrupting the way light bounces back. The result is almost no reflection at all. The wings simply vanish into their surroundings. To predators, this invisibility is the ultimate defense. While brighter butterflies survive by startling, the glasswing survives by disappearing. Yet transparency is not emptiness. Look closely, and you will find beauty of a subtler kind. Along the edges of the wings, faint hues shimmer soft browns, occasional flashes of orange, delicate borders that frame the invisible canvas. Against the light, the wings gleam faintly, like stained glass windows washed clean of color. Despite their fragility, glasswing butterflies are strong flyers. They travel long distances across forests, searching for flowers rich in nectar. Their invisibility offers safety, allowing them to glide unnoticed, where brighter wings might draw attention. Even in stillness, perched upon a blossom, they remain half-hidden, blending seamlessly into the scene. There is a quiet poetry in their existence. While other butterflies dazzle the eye, the glasswing teaches us the beauty of restraint, the power of absence. It shows us that wonder can lie not in what is revealed, but in what is left unseen. If you imagine a sunlit clearing, dappled with shifting light, the glasswing passes through like a sigh present, yet elusive, a living secret of the forest. And in that fleeting glimpse, we are reminded that not all miracles are meant to be obvious. Some are whispers, seen only when we pause, when we truly look. So when you next think of butterflies, let your mind hold not only the bold colors of the morpho or the painted eyes of others, but also the near invisible grace of the glasswing, a creature that turns absence into elegance and fragility into art. Not all survival is loud and dazzling. Sometimes it is found in silence, in invisibility, in the ability to fade into the background of the world. For butterflies, this skill is as vital as flight itself. Camouflage, the power to disappear, is their quiet shield against the dangers that surround them. In forests and meadows, predators are everywhere. Birds perched on branches, lizards waiting in stillness, spiders hidden among flowers. A butterfly's delicate wings are no match for claws or teeth, and so, nature has written protection onto their wings in another way. Patterns that mimic the world around them. The owl butterfly, for example, folds its wings and becomes part of the forest bark. The veins and textures on its wings mirror those of tree trunks, so perfectly that even a careful glance might pass it by. In dry grasslands, some species close their wings to reveal undersides that look like withered leaves, complete with veins, spots, and ragged edges that resemble decay. To predators, they are not prey at all, but part of the scenery. Other butterflies vanish among blossoms, their wing colors matching the petals where they feed. Some rest with wings closed, becoming slim as a blade of grass. Others angle themselves to catch the same light as the surface they sit upon, blending seamlessly into stone or shadow. In these moments, they are not merely hiding, they are erased, written out of sight by the artistry of nature. Yet camouflage is more than just invisibility. It is patience. The butterfly must remain still, trusting its disguise, resisting the urge to flee until the danger has passed. It is a reminder that survival sometimes lies in stillness rather than motion, in quiet faith rather than hurried action. Picture a forest at dusk, the air cool, the ground scattered with fallen leaves. Among them, one leaf stirs slightly, then stills. Only if you look closely do you realize it is no leaf at all, but a butterfly resting, its wings etched with the same lines and shadows as the litter around it. In that fragile disguise lies its chance to live another day. Camouflage teaches us something profound. That beauty can be hidden, that strength can come from gentleness, and that even in a world of bright colors, there is wisdom in knowing when to disappear. So while some butterflies dazzle the eye with brilliant displays, others survive by becoming invisible, living art, that hides in plain sight, unseen yet fully present. For a butterfly, the day does not truly begin with flight. It begins with the Sunday. Unlike warm-blooded creatures, butterflies cannot generate enough heat on their own to power their fragile muscles. Instead, they must borrow warmth from the world around them. And so, each morning, when the first rays spill across leaves and flowers, butterflies pause to welcome the light. You may have seen them perched on a stone or resting upon a broad leaf, wings stretched wide, like small solar panels tilted toward the sky. This act is more than beauty. It is necessity. As sunlight pours over their delicate bodies, the wings soak in warmth, transferring energy to the muscles within. Slowly, the chill of night dissolves, and the butterfly awakens into motion. The posture varies. Some spread their wings flat, absorbing as much light as possible. To the casual eye, they seem to bask lazily, but in truth, it is a precise ritual, the difference between flying freely or remaining grounded. In cooler climates, this ritual becomes even more essential. A butterfly may linger long, waiting for its muscles to warm to just the right temperature, often between 30 and 35 degrees Celsius. Only then can it beat its wings with strength enough to rise. If the day is too cold, the butterfly may remain grounded, conserving energy, its wings folded like a book never opened. There is a quiet poetry in this reliance on the Sunday. Each dawn becomes not only a new day but a gift of life, a gentle reminder that survival is often a partnership with the world around us. The butterfly does not rush. It waits patiently, trusting that warmth will come, that light. Imagine a meadow at early morning. Dew still clings to the grass, the air is cool and damp, and here and there, butterflies rest with open wings, painted in stillness. Then, as the sun climbs higher, they stir, first a tremor, then a flutter, and soon the meadow is alive with color and motion. Flight begins not with force, but with waiting, with trust in the rhythm of light. In this, butterflies remind us that strength often comes from pausing, from soaking in what is needed before moving forward. They are teachers of patience, showing us that sometimes the most powerful journeys begin not in motion, but in stillness, beneath the rising Sunday. For most butterflies, life is local. A meadow, a forest clearing, a small patch of flowers where they feed and rest. But there are some whose story is written on a far grander scale. Butterflies that travel across entire continents, riding the wind with a determination that seems impossible for creatures so delicate. The most famous among them is the monarch. Every autumn in North America, millions of monarch butterflies begin their migration. They rise from fields and gardens, lifting into the crisp air, orange wings flashing against the sky. Their destination lies thousands of kilometers away, in the mountain forests of central Mexico. What makes this journey extraordinary is not only its length, but its continuity. No single butterfly completes the full circuit. Instead, it is a relay across generations. The butterflies that leave in autumn will never return. They fly southward, guided by the angle of the sun, by magnetic fields, by instincts still not fully understood. When they reach Mexico, they cluster together by the millions, coating the trees in trembling orange and black. Here, in the cool highland forests, they rest through the winter, conserving energy, waiting for spring. When warmth returns, they awaken and begin to move north again. Along the way, they mate and lay eggs, passing the journey to the next generation. Caterpillars hatch, transform, and rise as butterflies that continue the path. It may take 4 or 5 generations before the migration is complete, the great cycle returning north once more. And yet, each butterfly knows its part of the story, as if written in its very being. The journey is filled with challenges, storms, predators, dwindling habitats. Many never make it, but those that do turn landscapes into living rivers of wings, flowing across skies for as far as the eye can see. To witness such a migration is to stand in awe of persistence, of fragility carrying within it immense strength. And the monarchs are not alone. Painted ladies, cloudless sulphurs, and other species also travel vast distances, some crossing deserts, others spanning seas. Each migration is a testament to endurance, to the astonishing capacity of these fragile creatures to navigate worlds larger than themselves. If you close your eyes, imagine standing in a forest of Mexico. As winter gives way to spring, the trees tremble, not with wind, but with butterflies. Thousands lift into the air at once, wings beating softly, filling the sky with orange light. It is not only a migration, but a living miracle, a reminder that even the most delicate beings can hold the courage to cross entire continents. So when we think of butterflies as fragile, let us also remember them as voyagers, travelers whose wings write across the map of the world, carrying the story of survival from one generation to the next. Flight, though graceful, is demanding. Each beat of a butterfly's wings requires energy, and in their brief, fragile lives, they must find this energy in a form both simple and profound. Nectar. To watch a butterfly feed is to witness a quiet ritual, a bond between insect and flower that has shaped the living world for millions of years. When a butterfly drifts into a meadow, it does not land at random. Guided by sight, by scent, and even by ultraviolet patterns invisible to us, it seeks the blossom's richest in nectar. It hovers for a moment, wings trembling, before settling lightly on the petals. Then comes the unfolding of its most delicate tool, the proboscis. Like a tiny spiral spring, it unrolls, slipping deep into the heart of the flower. Nectar is liquid sunlight, transformed by plants into sugar. For the butterfly, it is both food and fuel, sustaining its flights, its courtships, its migrations. Drop by drop, the butterfly drinks, its body lightened, its energy renewed. And yet, in this act of feeding, it is also giving. As the butterfly brushes against stamens and pistils, pollen clings to its wings, its legs, its body. Carried to the next blossom, that pollen completes the flower's story, ensuring seeds will form, new life will rise. This exchange is quiet, effortless, almost invisible to us, but without it, fields would lose their blooms, ecosystems would falter. Butterflies, like bees, are silent gardeners of the earth, weaving connections between flower and fruit, plant and season. Some species are specialists, seeking only certain flowers whose shapes match their long proboscises. Others are generalists, sipping from a wide array of blossoms, spreading pollen broadly across the landscape. Together, they maintain the balance of meadows, forests, and gardens, each feeding not only themselves but the living web around them. There is a gentleness in this act that feels like meditation. Unlike predators that tear or consume with violence, it takes only what it needs, leaving the flower still whole, still radiant. It is a relationship of balance, a reminder that survival need not always come with force. Picture a summer afternoon, sunlight warm, flowers swaying, and butterflies drifting lazily among them. Each landing is a pause, each sip a continuation of life's cycle. It is a scene so calm, so timeless, that it seems written for dreamers, for those who pause long enough to notice the quiet exchanges that keep the world alive. So the next time you see a butterfly bent over a flower, remember that you are watching more than feeding. You are watching a partnership, a fragile creature and a fragile blossom, sustaining one another with nothing more than sweetness and trust. Though nectar is the butterfly's most familiar food, it is not the only source of life they seek. Sweetness alone cannot sustain them, for their delicate bodies also need minerals, salts, and nutrients that flowers cannot always provide. And so, butterflies turn to the earth itself, and sometimes to the tears and blood of living creatures. Along riverbanks or damp forest paths, you may find groups of butterflies clustered on the ground. Their wings rise and fall like a tide of color, but they are not resting. They are drinking. With proboscises unrolled, they sip from wet soil, from mud rich in minerals, from puddles left behind by the rain. This behavior is called puddling, a word as gentle as the sight itself. Dozens, sometimes hundreds of butterflies gathering to share in the hidden feast of the earth. The salts they take in are vital, especially for males. These nutrients are carried within them, later passed to females during mating, becoming part of the next generation's inheritance. It is a reminder that even the smallest details, a droplet of mineral water, a grain of salt, ripple outward into the future of life. But sometimes, butterflies seek what seems stranger still. In the Amazon, travelers have spoken of butterflies gathering at the eyes of turtles, sipping tears rich in sodium. Others have been seen touching the faces of crocodiles or birds, drinking the moisture there. And in rare cases, some species even sip from wounds or carrion, drawing minerals from blood. These behaviors may surprise us, but they reveal a truth. Survival often requires seeking nourishment wherever it may be found, even in places that blur the boundary between beauty and the rawness of life. And yet, even here, there is grace. Imagine a turtle basking at the edge of a river, its eyes shimmering with wetness. From the air, a butterfly descends. It lands softly upon the turtle's face, unfurls its proboscis, and drinks. There is no struggle, no violence, only a curious exchange. Salt for sweetness, survival for beauty. These small, hidden rituals remind us that nature is filled with complexity. Butterflies, symbols of gentleness and light, are also seekers of Earth's deeper resources. They teach us that fragility does not mean weakness, and that sometimes the nourishment we need comes from the least expected places. So while flowers provide the nectar of daily life, the ground, the rain, even the tears of animals provide the minerals that sustain generations. And in that balance between sweetness and salt, between beauty and necessity, lies the quiet truth of survival. In the stillness of a summer riverbank, the ground glistens with damp soil, and sunlight flickers across the water. Here, dozens, sometimes hundreds of butterflies gather. Their wings shimmer in unison, opening and closing like the breath of the earth itself. This is puddling, a gathering both practical and magical, where butterflies drink minerals from the earth together. At first glance, it looks like a celebration. Clusters of bright wings spread along muddy banks, glowing yellow, orange, blue, and white. Some perch shoulder to shoulder, packed so tightly that they form living carpets of color. Others hover just above, fluttering as if unsure where to land before joining the throng. To see it is to feel as though the earth itself has sprouted a garden of wings. Yet beneath the beauty lies necessity. Each butterfly bends low, proboscis unrolled, drawing minerals and salts from the damp soil. These elements strengthen their bodies, aid their reproduction, and ensure the continuation of their fragile lineages. Male butterflies, in particular, rely on these minerals, later passing them on to females as part of their courtship gift. A subtle dowry carried from the earth to the next generation. But there is more to puddling than survival. It is also a rare glimpse of butterflies in community. Most often we see them alone, drifting through meadows or pausing briefly on flowers. Here, however, they come together, wings brushing, bodies gathered in peaceful company. There is no fighting, no struggle, only a shared purpose: to drink deeply from the earth. Imagine kneeling by such a riverbank. The air is warm, the sound of water soft, and before you a cloud of wings stirs with every breeze. If you move too quickly, they rise at once, a storm of color scattering into the air. Yet wait quietly, and they will return, settling again into stillness, continuing their silent communion. For a moment, it feels like a dream, the earth offering its minerals, the butterflies answering with wings of living light. In their presence, time slows, and survival itself looks like art. So puddling is more than feeding. It is a gathering, a ritual, a reminder that even the most fragile lives are connected not only to flowers above, but to the soil beneath, to the deep and steady heartbeat of the earth itself. The story of a butterfly is not only about flight and beauty, but about legacy. For all the nectar sipped, all the miles traveled, The most important act of a butterfly's life may be the choice of where to lay her eggs. In this decision lies the survival of her young, and she makes it with care as delicate as her wings. When the time comes, the female drifts low over the plants, antennae and feet searching, tasting, testing. She does not choose at random. Only certain plants will do, host plants, whose leaves will feed the caterpillars when they first emerge. To us, leaves may look much the same, but to her, each carries a signature, chemical cues written in taste and scent. Her legs, alive with sensors, tell her what her eyes cannot. She lands, pauses, and in that stillness, decides if the leaf will be safe, nourishing, and hidden enough for her young. If the choice feels right, she bends her body and deposits a tiny egg, sometimes alone, sometimes in clusters. The egg clings like a pearl to the underside of the leaf, sheltered from sun and rain. In some species, a single butterfly may lay hundreds of such pearls, scattering them across many plants, trusting that at least a few will survive. Each one is a fragile promise, a hope pressed into the green. But she does more than lay. Many butterfly mothers coat their eggs with protective chemicals, scents that warn other insects away or deter predators from feeding. Some even leave markings that tell rival butterflies, this plant is taken. It is a quiet form of guardianship, written not in presence, but in chemistry. To watch her at work is to see devotion written in small gestures. Wings beat gently as she hovers, then fold as she lowers herself. Precise and patient, she lays, rests, then lifts again, moving on to the next leaf, the next promise. In her brief life, she may repeat this hundreds of times, scattering the seeds of transformation across her world. If you imagine a meadow at late afternoon, golden with light, you may see her drifting from plant to plant, pausing, deciding, leaving behind tiny stars upon the green. They are almost invisible, yet within each one lies the possibility of flight, the echo of generations yet to come. In this act, she teaches us something profound, that even the smallest choices can shape the future, that legacy is often built not in grand displays, but in quiet acts of care. The butterfly, fragile as she is, ensures that her story does not end with her wings, but continues in the hidden life that begins as an egg. From the moment it hatches, the caterpillar enters the world with a single mission: to eat. Its tiny body, fresh from the egg, wastes no time. Often, its first meal is the eggshell itself, rich with nutrients, a small but powerful beginning. Then, almost immediately, it turns to the leaf beneath it. What follows is a feast that seems without end. The caterpillar eats with astonishing speed and determination. Leaf after leaf disappears between its jaws, veins and all. In just a few short weeks, it may consume up to 200 times its own body weight. Imagine a human child eating enough food to outweigh an entire elephant, such is the scale of its hunger. This appetite is not greed, it is necessity. Every bite is fuel for growth, every meal a step toward transformation. As it feeds, the caterpillar grows rapidly, so quickly that its skin cannot keep up. Like clothing too small, the outer layer tightens until it splits. Then, from beneath, a new, larger skin emerges. This molting happens not once but several times, each stage marking a new chapter in the caterpillar's life. With each molt, it becomes stronger, more vibrant, more prepared for what lies ahead. Yet the caterpillar is more than a creature of appetite. Its body often carries colors and patterns that serve as warnings. Bright stripes that say, "I am poisonous," or mottled greens and browns that let it vanish among the leaves. Some wear tiny spines or hairs, soft armor against predators. Even in this stage of eating and growing, survival is written into every detail of its design. But what makes this stage most remarkable is the hidden secret it carries. Within the caterpillar's body are clusters of cells, long dormant, waiting silently. They are imaginal discs, tiny architects of the butterfly to come. While the caterpillar eats and grows, these discs remain still, holding the blueprint for wings, antennae, and the elegant body it does not yet know it will have. If you picture it, the caterpillar's life is a season of abundance. Imagine a garden bathed in summer light, leaves swaying gently in the breeze. Upon one leaf, a small creature chews steadily, its body swelling larger each day. It is not graceful, not delicate, not yet, but with each mouthful, it gathers strength for the miracle ahead. The caterpillar does not know its destiny. It does not dream of wings. It simply eats, grows, and persists. And yet, within its simple hunger lies the power to one day transform into a being of flight and color. In its devotion to growth, we find a lesson that preparation often comes quietly, through persistence and patience, long before the moment of transformation arrives. When the caterpillar has eaten its fill and molted its final skin, it seeks a quiet place, perhaps beneath a leaf or hanging from the underside of a branch. It anchors itself with silk, head bowed as if in reverence. Then, in a last great effort, it sheds the skin that has carried it through its days of hunger. But this time, what emerges is not a larger caterpillar. It is the chrysalis. Smooth and gleaming, it hangs like a jewel. To the casual eye, it appears lifeless, a shell without movement. Yet within, the greatest transformation in nature is taking place. The caterpillar's body, once so busy with chewing and crawling, dissolves. Muscles, tissues, even the very organs, melt into a rich, living soup. It is as though the caterpillar has surrendered its entire being, trusting completely in the pattern written within. From this fluid, something miraculous begins to unfold. Those quiet clusters of cells, the imaginal discs that have waited since the earliest days, now awaken. Guided by ancient instructions carried in their DNA, they begin to shape anew. Wings where none existed, eyes different from before, antennae delicate and long. What was once a creature built for eating and crawling is slowly, cell by cell, becoming one built for sipping nectar and riding the wind. Inside the chrysalis, time flows differently. Days may pass in silence. The world outside moves on, rains fall. Winds stir the leaves. Predators hunt and pass by. While within, the butterfly takes form in secret. No sound escapes, no motion betrays the work being done. From the outside, it seems a moment of stillness. From the inside, it is a storm of creation. And then, as the days reach their end, the chrysalis begins to change. Its shell, once opaque, turns clear. Through it, colors press outward. Soft oranges, deep blacks, flashes of blue, the first hints of wings. Soon, the quiet waiting will give way to trembling, the shell will split, and the butterfly will emerge. To witness this transformation is to feel awe. A creature that once crawled upon the earth has surrendered itself to darkness, to dissolution. And from that surrender arises flight, lightness, beauty. It is both science and poetry, both biology and miracle. If you close your eyes and imagine the forest at dusk, you might see chrysalises hanging quietly like beads of jade upon branches, each one holding the promise of wings. In their silence lies the truth of transformation, that endings are not always final, and that within stillness, unimaginable change can be born. Not all butterflies emerge quickly from their chrysalis. For some, transformation is not only a matter of change, but also of timing. These pupae wait, sometimes for weeks, sometimes for many months, resting in silence until the world beyond is ready to welcome them. This patience is called diapause, a suspended state of life, where growth slows almost to stillness. The butterfly within does not die. It simply pauses, holding itself in readiness. It is nature's way of aligning fragile wings with the rhythm of the seasons. In cold climates, many species enter diapause as winter approaches. Rather than emerging into a world of frost and hunger, they remain hidden within their chrysalises, clinging to branches, leaves, or walls, seemingly forgotten. Snow may blanket the ground, winds may howl, storms may rage, and still they wait, untouched. Only when spring returns, when warmth stirs the air, and flowers bloom again, do they awaken and complete their transformation. Others may wait for rain. In tropical forests, some species time their emergence with the arrival of the wet season, when blossoms are plentiful and survival is most likely. To emerge too soon, in drought or scarcity, would be to perish. And so, they wait, patient, their fragile shells holding steady until the rains fall. If you imagine walking through a winter forest, bare branches stretching into grey skies, you might never notice the small chrysalises clinging beneath bark and leaf. They hang like forgotten ornaments, silent and unremarkable. Yet inside, life is preserved, resting in trust, waiting for the moment when the world softens again. There is wisdom in this waiting. Butterflies remind us that transformation does not always come swiftly. Sometimes, it must be delayed until the time is right, until the world itself is prepared to receive it. Patience becomes as vital as change. And when at last the season turns, when the air warms and flowers open their faces to the sun, the waiting ends. The chrysalis trembles, splits, and the butterfly emerges, perfectly aligned with the abundance around it. Its patience is rewarded with survival and with beauty. So the next time you think of butterflies, remember not only their brief flights but also their long silences. In those hidden months of waiting lies one of life's quiet truths, that sometimes the greatest transformations come only when we learn to trust in the rhythm of time. For a butterfly, life is fragile and fleeting. She has only days or weeks to find nectar, to mate, and to ensure that her story continues through the next generation. Yet, even in such a short span, she leaves behind gifts of protection for her young, not through strength or presence, but through chemistry. When a female butterfly lays her eggs, she often does more than simply place them on a host plant. She coats them with secret chemicals, invisible shields, written in scent and taste. These protective compounds serve many purposes. Some deter other insects from laying their eggs on the same leaf, ensuring her offspring will not face competition for food. Others ward off predators or parasites, sending a quiet warning that the tiny pearl is not to be touched. It is an astonishing act of care. She cannot stay to guard her eggs, cannot defend them with claws or stingers. Instead, she entrusts them to the subtle power of molecules, invisible to our eyes, but unmistakable to those who would harm her young. In this way, she protects even in her absence, a mother's final offering before she drifts away. Some butterflies go further still. Their egg-laying patterns are strategic, scattering eggs across many plants so that no single predator can devour them all. Others lay in clusters, overwhelming the risks by sheer number. Each approach is different, yet all are guided by the same instinct, to give the next generation its best chance at life. Imagine, for a moment, the sight of a butterfly pausing upon a leaf. Her wings fold gently as she bends to place an egg, no larger than a dewdrop. She lingers for just a breath, leaving behind the unseen shield, before lifting once more into the air. To us, it looks simple, almost effortless, but in that instant, she has shaped the future, weaving survival into the smallest of beginnings. There is tenderness here, though it wears no human face. The butterfly will never meet her children. She will not see them hatch, or crawl, or take flight. And yet, through instinct and chemistry, she prepares the path for them, ensuring that even in her absence, her presence lingers. It is a reminder that love, in nature, often takes forms we do not immediately recognize, not in touch or watchful eyes, but in invisible acts of care, carried silently on the air. Among the countless butterflies that grace our planet, most are small, fragile slips of color drifting across fields and forests. Yet there are a few that break this delicate image, becoming giants of the sky. The largest of them all is the Queen Alexandra's birdwing, a butterfly so immense that its wings rival those of small birds. Native to the rainforests of Papua New Guinea, this butterfly is both rare and extraordinary. The females, larger than the males, can reach a wingspan of nearly 28 centimeters, the width of 2 human hands placed side by side. To see one in flight is to feel the air stirred by wings that seem impossibly vast for a butterfly. It is less a flutter and more a glide, its size granting it the grace of slow, powerful movement. The males, though smaller, carry brilliance upon their wings, shimmering bands of green and blue that shine like gemstones under sunlight. Their beauty is not only for display, but also for courtship, signaling vitality and strength. The females, larger and more muted in color, embody endurance, built to carry and lay the large eggs that will continue their lineage. Yet this grandeur comes with fragility. The Queen Alexandra's birdwing lives only in small regions of New Guinea, its survival tied to the rainforest and the host plants that nourish its caterpillars. Habitat loss has made it one of the rarest butterflies in the world, its size and beauty turning it into both a wonder and a species in need of protection. Imagine walking through a dense rainforest, where shafts of sunlight break through the canopy in golden beams. Suddenly, a vast shadow glides overhead, wings glowing with iridescence. It is not a bird, though it moves like one. It is a butterfly, the largest of its kind, carrying the grace of fragility on a monumental scale. In its presence, one feels both awe and humility, for even at its grandest, a butterfly lives only briefly. Its size does not shield it from the fleeting nature of existence. Instead, it magnifies the truth that beauty, whether small or immense, is precious precisely because it does not last forever. The Queen Alexandra's birdwing is a reminder that butterflies are not only whispers of color in meadows, but also giants that can command the very skies of the rainforest. In both their fragility and their magnificence, they reflect the endless variety of life. If the Queen Alexandra's birdwing is the giant of the butterfly kingdom, then the western pygmy blue is its opposite, a creature so small it seems more like a drifting spark than a winged insect. Found in parts of North America, this butterfly holds the title of the tiniest in the world, with a wingspan of scarcely 1.2 centimeters. That is smaller than a thumbnail, lighter than a feather, and fragile as a whisper of wind. To see one is to marvel at nature's attention to scale. Its wings are not grand banners but delicate flecks, colored in soft coppers and browns with faint blue dusting along the edges. They do not blaze like the morpho, or command the air like the birdwing, yet their beauty lies in subtlety, a shimmer caught only when the light bends just so. The life of such a small butterfly is humble. It does not travel vast distances. It does not dazzle predators with eye spots or illusions. Instead, it survives through quiet presence, blending with dry grasses and low shrubs where it feeds and rests. Its flight is short, close to the ground, like a drifting petal caught in the breeze, and yet, within its tiny body beats the same rhythm as its larger cousins. It lives the same 4 stages: egg, caterpillar, chrysalis, butterfly. It sips nectar, seeks mates, lays eggs, and begins the cycle anew. Its size does not diminish the grandeur of its story. In fact, it magnifies it. That such delicate creatures can thrive at all, amid winds, rains, and predators, is itself a miracle of resilience. If you imagine kneeling in a sunlit field, eyes close to the earth, you might see one lift from the grass, so small you could mistake it for a drifting seed. It hovers, settles, then vanishes into the landscape, unnoticed by all but the most attentive gaze. In that moment, you are reminded that not all wonders demand attention. Some live quietly, offering their beauty only to those who pause and look closely. The western pygmy blue is a lesson in humility. Against the grand spectacle of larger species, it whispers that greatness is not always found in size or brilliance, but in persistence, in the simple act of existing, fragile yet complete. If there is a paradise for butterflies on Earth, it lies in Latin America. From the high Andes to the deep jungles of the Amazon, from Caribbean coasts to mountain valleys, this vast region holds more butterfly species than anywhere else in the world. It is a living gallery of wings, each forest and field painted with its own palette of motion and color. In these lands, butterflies are not occasional visitors but constant presences. Walk through a clearing in the Amazon and you may see dozens at once. Each one different, some glowing with iridescent blues, others painted in fiery reds. others yet transparent as glass. On mountain trails, delicate species flit between alpine flowers, surviving at heights where air is thin and the nights are cold. In coastal meadows, bold-colored wings catch the sea breeze, rising and falling like fragments of the sky. Latin America's richness comes from its incredible diversity of landscapes and climates. Rainforests, with their constant warmth and endless supply of blossoms, nurture thousands of species. Cloud forests, where mist hangs heavy and moss covers every branch, shelter butterflies found nowhere else. Even arid grasslands and deserts hold their own hidden treasures. Small, hardy butterflies adapted to survive, where flowers bloom only briefly after rains. For scientists, this region is both wonder and challenge. New species are still being discovered, each one adding another brushstroke to the vast mural of life. For local communities, butterflies are more than insects. They appear in art, in folklore, in celebrations of fertility, transformation, and the eternal cycle of life. In some traditions, butterflies are seen as messengers, carrying whispers between the worlds of the living and the spirits. To stand in the middle of a Latin American rainforest is to feel as though the air itself is alive with wings. A flash of emerald here, a streak of orange there, a ghostly shimmer passing between beams of sunlight. The abundance is so great that one almost forgets how rare such sights are elsewhere in the world. And in this overflowing beauty lies a reminder. Biodiversity is not only a scientific measure, but also a treasure of the senses. Every species adds a note to the music of the forest. Every wingbeat contributes to the harmony of life. To lose even one would be to quiet a part of that song. Latin America shows us what the world can be when abundance thrives. A place where butterflies are not exceptions but constants, where the fragile becomes the ordinary, and where color itself seems endless. The Amazon is a world unto itself, vast, humid, and endlessly alive. Beneath its towering canopy, rivers curl like veins of silver, and the air hums with the voices of countless creatures. Among them, butterflies are everywhere. This rainforest, stretching across 9 countries, is home to more than 7,000 species, a number so immense that it almost feels impossible. Here, every step reveals a new wing. Along muddy riverbanks, clouds of yellow and white butterflies gather, their wings flickering like sunlight reflected on water. In the dim undergrowth, delicate glasswings hover like spirits between shafts of light. High above, where the canopy brushes the sky, large, powerful species glide slowly among blossoms that never touch the forest floor. The morpho, with its shimmering blue wings, is perhaps the Amazon's most famous resident. To see one gliding through the shadows is to witness a living jewel, a moving flame of sky among green, yet it is only one among thousands. Some species mimic leaves so perfectly that even trained eyes pass them by. Others blaze with warning colors, fiery reds and blacks, announcing that they are toxic and best left alone. The Amazon's abundance is not just beauty, it is survival woven into diversity. Each species has carved a place for itself. Some specialize in certain flowers, others thrive in the wet soil of riverbanks. Still others rise only during certain seasons. Together, they form a network that supports the forest, pollinating plants, feeding predators, and keeping the balance alive. For those who walk here, the sight is dreamlike. Imagine drifting along a narrow jungle path. Moist air clings to your skin. The sounds of frogs and birds echo around you. Suddenly, a flicker catches your eye, then another, and another. You realize the air itself is alive with butterflies. Hundreds of wings crossing paths. In an endless dance, the forest seems less a place of trees and vines, and more a cathedral of motion, painted by colors that shift with every breath of wind. Scientists who study the Amazon often say that even after decades, it still reveals new secrets. New butterfly species are discovered regularly, hidden in the immensity of its green. This abundance reminds us that our world is still unfolding, still richer than we can measure, and that within every fluttering wing lies a piece of the Earth's oldest story. One of resilience, connection, and renewal. The Amazon is not only the lungs of our planet, but also its living gallery of wings. And within that endless diversity, butterflies show us the fullness of life, fragile and magnificent all at once. Vietnam, a country of mountains, rivers, and lush forests, is also home to a hidden treasure: butterflies in astonishing diversity. Over 1,000 species have been recorded here, each one adding a brushstroke of motion and color to the country's landscapes. From misty highlands to rice fields glistening in the sun, butterflies are constant companions, their wings turning ordinary scenes into moments of quiet wonder. In the northern mountains, where clouds hang low and forests breathe with mist, rare species glide between orchids and moss-covered trees. In the central highlands, butterflies rise with the heat of midday, drifting over coffee plantations and flowering shrubs. Along the Mekong Delta, flashes of yellow, orange, and white skim low over fields, brightening the still waters where lotus flowers bloom. The richness of Vietnam's butterfly life comes from its varied habitats. Dense tropical forests shelter species that thrive in shade, their wings patterned to vanish among bark and leaves. Open meadows host others that blaze in color, signaling their presence boldly beneath the sunday. Still more species linger near rivers, where minerals in the damp earth draw them together in gatherings of wings, a living carpet of color spread across the soil. Beyond their role in ecosystems, butterflies also drift through Vietnamese culture. In poems and folk stories, they appear as symbols of fleeting beauty and transformation. Some tales describe butterflies as messengers between lovers, others as signs of the soul's journey after life. Their presence in gardens and fields is not just natural but spiritual, woven into the rhythm of everyday life. To walk through a Vietnamese forest in late spring is to see the air alive. Small butterflies rise in clouds as you pass, scattering like petals shaken from unseen blossoms. Some hover patiently at flowers, others dart in quick, playful patterns, as though sketching invisible paths through the air. For a moment, it feels as though the land itself is breathing in wings. In every region of Vietnam, butterflies remind us of both abundance and fragility. Their presence speaks of healthy forests and fields. Their absence warns of imbalance. In this way, they are not only beauty but also guardians, delicate signals of how well the land itself is thriving. So when you think of Vietnam, imagine not only its mountains and rivers, but also its 1,000 butterflies, silent, tireless dancers that bind the country's wild places to its stories and dreams. When we think of pollinators, it is often bees that come to mind, busy, industrious, carrying golden dust from flower to flower. But butterflies, too, play a role in this ancient partnership, though their work is slower, gentler, more like a dance than a duty. As they drift from bloom to bloom in search of nectar, butterflies brush lightly against the stamens of flowers. Pollen clings to their legs, their proboscis, even the edges of their wings. Then, with the next landing, the pollen is carried forward, completing the unseen cycle that allows plants to bear fruit and seed. In this way, butterflies sustain not only themselves, but also the countless blossoms that brighten our world. Unlike bees, butterflies are not efficient pollinators. Their bodies are too slim, their visits too fleeting, their movements too airy. Yet precisely in this lack of efficiency lies their gift. Because they wander, because they drift so widely, they spread pollen across great distances, linking plants that might otherwise remain apart. What they lack in focus, they make up for in reach, weaving invisible connections through fields and forests. Some flowers are shaped for them alone. Long, narrow blossoms hide nectar deep within, beyond the reach of most insects. But the butterfly's coiled proboscis can unfurl like a delicate straw, slipping into the hidden chamber to sip the sweetness. In exchange, the flower receives what it needs most: the gift of pollen carried onward to its kin. Picture a meadow in late afternoon. Sunlight bends low, gilding the petals of wildflowers. A butterfly settles upon one, proboscis unrolled, sipping slowly. Its wings tremble, catching the light. Then, as if carried by a thought, it lifts, drifts, and lands again, In its gentle wandering, the meadow's life is sustained, its future secured. Pollination may seem small, invisible, unnoticed. But without it, the world of flowers would wither, fruits would vanish, seeds would fail. The butterfly, in its quiet way, is a gardener of earth, tending fields not with tools or labor, but with wings and flight. So the next time you see a butterfly bend over a blossom, remember, it is not only feeding, it is carrying life forward, stitching one bloom to another with threads too fine for our eyes to see. In its fragile flight, the future of forests and fields is written. In the great web of life, every thread has its place. Flowers and pollinators are bound together in partnerships older than memory, each shaping the other through time. While many blossoms welcome bees, moths, or birds, some are faithful only to butterflies. For these plants, the gentle visitor with wings of light is not just a helper, but the sole keeper of their future. These flowers often have narrow, deep tubes where nectar hides at the bottom, unreachable to most. Bees cannot reach, flies cannot feed, and birds may pass them by. But the butterfly, with its elegant proboscis coiling and uncoiling like a silken thread, slips perfectly inside. It sips the hidden sweetness, and in doing so, brushes against the pollen placed with exquisite precision. When it drifts to the next flower of the same kind, the connection is complete. Life is passed forward, seeds can form, and the lineage continues. In this way, the butterfly becomes not just a visitor, but a guardian. Without it, such plants would fall silent, their blooms fading into extinction. And without the flowers, the butterflies themselves would lose their nourishment, their generations disrupted. It is a bond, as delicate as it is vital, a quiet promise exchanged in every sip. Imagine a twilight meadow where a rare blossom opens only in the late afternoon, its petals pale and glowing in the fading light. A single butterfly drifts to it, drawn by instinct, by scent, by patterns in ultraviolet, unseen by us. That simple act ensures not only its own survival, but also the survival of the flower itself. A partnership written in trust, renewed with every visit. We often think of butterflies as symbols of freedom, of flight without burden. Yet in truth, they carry responsibility upon their wings. They are caretakers of certain plants, protectors of certain blossoms, and in turn, those plants offer them sustenance, safety, and the stage upon which their beauty can unfold. It is humbling to realize how fragile and precise these bonds are. If the butterfly vanishes, the plant may vanish too. And if the plant disappears, so may the butterfly. They remind us that survival is rarely solitary. It is shared, dependent, interwoven. So when we see a butterfly drinking from a flower, we are witnessing more than beauty. We are witnessing a pact, a promise between two lives that together sustain one another, and through that partnership, sustain the world. To us, butterflies seem almost untouchable, fragile jewels drifting across meadows, too delicate for harm. Yet in truth, they are woven into the food chain as deeply as any creature. Their beauty does not spare them from danger. Instead, their wings and bodies feed the lives of others, becoming part of the endless cycle, where nothing stands alone. Birds are among their most common hunters. A flash of wings in the grass, a trembling shape on a flower to a bird's sharp eyes. These are signals of food. In a sudden dart, the bird strikes, and the butterfly vanishes into its beak. For the bird, it is nourishment. For the butterfly, an ending. Frogs, too, wait quietly near ponds and rivers, leaping at any small movement that passes within reach. Lizards stalk them along branches, while spiders weave delicate traps that snare unwary wings. Even ants may carry away fallen or weakened butterflies, returning them to their colonies as food. This may seem cruel, yet it is not tragedy, but balance. For every butterfly that feeds a bird, the bird survives to sing another song, to raise its young, to continue its lineage. The butterfly, in giving its brief life, becomes part of something larger. It is a thread in the tapestry, both fragile and essential. And so, butterflies have evolved defenses. Some mimic leaves, vanishing from view. Others carry bright warning colors, signaling that they are toxic or bitter-tasting, a dangerous meal. A few even release foul chemicals when threatened, discouraging predators from taking a bite. But none of these defenses are perfect. Many still fall, their lives brief, their wings lost in the jaws of the forest's endless hunger. Yet their role as prey has its own beauty. Butterflies sustain not only themselves but entire ecosystems. They are pollinators, yes, but also nourishment bridges of energy, moving from flower to bird, from leaf to lizard, from nectar to predator. In giving their lives, they ensure that life continues, that the circle remains unbroken. If you imagine a meadow at dusk, butterflies still drifting among the flowers, you might also see a bird swooping low, or a frog's sudden leap from the grass. It is not cruelty, but rhythm, the endless exchange of energy that binds all living things. In this way, the butterfly's beauty is both gift and offering. It enchants us, it feeds the world, and even in its ending, it ensures that life flows onward. When we see a butterfly flutter across a meadow, it may seem like a small, fleeting moment, but in truth, that single wing beat carries meaning far beyond itself. Butterflies are more than just creatures of beauty, they are indicators, living signals of the health of the world around them. Because butterflies are sensitive to changes in climate, vegetation, and air, their presence or absence reveals what words cannot. A meadow alive with butterflies speaks of balance, clean air, thriving flowers, and an ecosystem where life is connected and strong. A meadow without them, silent and still, tells a different story. One of decline, of lost plants, of imbalance creeping quietly into the land. Scientists often study butterflies as bioindicators. By watching how their populations rise and fall, they can understand the condition of forests, grasslands. A sudden drop in butterfly numbers may signal pollution, habitat loss, or climate change long before these problems are visible to us. In this way, butterflies are like the canaries once carried into coal mines, fragile lives that reveal hidden dangers. Consider the monarch butterfly. In recent decades, its great migrations have dwindled. Where millions once filled the skies, now their numbers are only a fraction. The reasons are clear: pesticides, deforestation, and the loss of wildflowers along their migratory paths. Each absence is not only the loss of beauty, but a warning, a signal that the chain of life is fraying. And yet, butterflies also carry hope. When conservation efforts restore wildflowers or protect forests, butterflies often return quickly, as if answering the Earth's healing call. Their reappearance is a promise, a sign that balance can be restored if we choose to protect it. If you picture a quiet field, perhaps near your home, filled with blooms and drifting wings, you may see more than beauty. You may see a conversation between the land and its creatures, a dialogue written in colors and patterns. Each butterfly that rises from the grass is not only itself, but also a message. The flowers are here, the air is clean, the world still breathes. In this way, butterflies remind us that fragility and resilience are two sides of the same truth. Their lives are delicate, yet their presence speaks with power. By listening to their message, by noticing when they vanish or when they return, we learn not only about them, but about ourselves and the choices we make for the earth we share. In every ecosystem, there are voices too quiet for us to hear, signals hidden in the rhythms of life. Butterflies are among these voices. They are not only creatures of beauty, but watchful guardians, their fragile wings whispering truths about the health of the earth. Because their lives are short and sensitive, butterflies respond quickly to change. A shift in temperature, the loss of wildflowers, the presence of toxins in the air or soil, all of these ripple through their populations. When butterflies begin to vanish, it is not only their absence we mourn, but the silence of an ecosystem faltering. Think of them as nature's early warnings. Where butterflies thrive, we can be sure that plants, birds, and countless smaller creatures thrive as well. Where butterflies decline, the same is true in reverse, a chain reaction spreading outward, touching lives we may not see until much later. Their fragility is what makes them powerful messengers. Consider again the monarchs, whose migrations once painted the skies of North America orange and black. Their dwindling numbers signal more than their own struggle. They speak of wildflower fields plowed under, forests cut down, pesticides washing through the land. In their decline, we see the story of a larger unraveling. Yet, just as they warn, they also reassure. When meadows are restored, when forests are protected, butterflies return with astonishing speed. A single summer after planting wildflowers may bring clouds of wings to a garden where none were before. It is as if they wait at the edges of our choices, ready to rejoin us the moment we create space for them again. If you imagine a hillside rich with flowers, butterflies weaving through the air, you are also seeing proof of health. Clean soil, thriving plants, balance among all living things. They are not only decoration, but confirmation that the web of life is intact. And perhaps this is why their presence feels so comforting. To watch butterflies is to feel the land breathing, to sense that nature is alive and resilient. They remind us that we are part of this balance, too, that in protecting them, we are protecting ourselves. So the next time you see a butterfly, think of it not only as a fleeting wonder, but as a guardian. Its wings carry messages about the world we live in. To listen is to learn, and to act is to honor the fragile balance upon which all life depends. On warm days, especially near rivers or after summer rains, a curious sight unfolds. Dozens, sometimes hundreds of butterflies settle side by side upon damp ground. Their wings shimmer and tremble in unison, creating a living carpet of color. To the casual eye, it looks like a festival, a gathering of wings upon the earth. But in truth, it is a ritual of survival, known as puddling. Unlike nectar, which provides sugar for energy, wet soil offers something different: minerals, especially salts, that butterflies cannot obtain from flowers alone. These minerals are vital to their health, strengthening their bodies, and for males, carrying an even deeper importance. The salts they drink are later transferred to females during mating, a nutrient-rich gift that helps the eggs develop strong and viable. In this way, puddling is not only nourishment but also a quiet act of ensuring the future. The sight of it feels almost dreamlike. Along a muddy riverbank, butterflies gather shoulder to shoulder, their wings opening and closing like waves. A gust of wind may lift them all at once, scattering them into the air like petals caught in a storm, only for them to return moments later, drawn again to the Earth's hidden feast. And there is more. Puddling also brings together many species, at once yellows and whites, mingling with blues and browns. Delicate wings brushing as they sip. Predators may lurk nearby. Yet here they remain, united by necessity, a reminder that survival often brings even the most fragile lives into harmony. If you imagine kneeling by such a place, you might hear nothing but the trickle of water and the soft rustle of wings. The butterflies themselves are silent, yet their presence fills the air with a sense of celebration, as though the earth were hosting a gathering only it could provide. This simple act, sipping minerals from soil, reveals the hidden complexity of their lives. They are not sustained by sweetness alone, but by the balance of earth and flower, sky and soil. In every drop of muddy water, in every grain of salt, lies the continuation of their fragile lineage. So puddling is more than a curiosity. It is a reminder that beauty often hides purpose, and that even the most delicate creatures must seek strength not only in the bright blossoms above, but also in the humble earth below. When we imagine butterflies feeding, we picture them perched gracefully on blossoms, sipping nectar with elegance. Yet nature often carries surprises, and butterflies are no exception. Beyond the sweetness of flowers and the salts of soil, some butterflies seek nourishment from places far stranger, even unsettling to us. In the humid forests of the Amazon and Southeast Asia, travelers have reported remarkable scenes. butterflies clustered at the eyes of turtles, birds, or even crocodiles. With their slender proboscises, they sip at the tears, drawing in precious salts dissolved in the moisture. The animals tolerate them, blinking slowly as the butterflies drink. A strange companionship between fragile insect and reptile. Elsewhere, butterflies have been seen settling on the sweat of humans, drawn to the minerals in our skin. Campers and hikers sometimes find them resting on arms or foreheads, sipping gently at perspiration, as if the human body were just another part of the landscape. It is not affection but necessity, a quiet exchange between species. And in the darkest corners of survival, there are butterflies that seek sustenance from carrion, or even from wounds. Their proboscises uncoil to sip blood or fluids from dead animals, extracting salts and proteins that flowers cannot provide. It may seem shocking, this delicate creature, so often a symbol of purity, drinking from such places, yet it is a testament to life's resilience. Survival often means seeking nourishment wherever it can be found. These moments reveal another layer of the butterfly's story. They are not only gentle ornaments of meadows, but also seekers, opportunists, adapted to draw life from sources both beautiful and raw. To sip from a flower is art, to sip from tears is persistence. Both sustain them. If you picture it, imagine a turtle basking by a riverbank, its eyes wet with the shimmer of sunlight. Upon its face, a butterfly rests, wings glowing blue. Its proboscis dips gently to the tear, drinking silently while the turtle blinks in calm acceptance. It is a scene both strange and tender. Predator and prey roles set aside, replaced by a quiet moment of coexistence. In these unexpected acts, butterflies remind us that beauty and survival are not separate. They coexist, intertwined, sometimes in ways that unsettle our human sense of harmony. Yet in that truth lies wonder, that even the most fragile of creatures finds a way to endure. To think of butterflies as intelligent may seem unusual. Their lives are brief, their bodies fragile, their brains tiny compared to our own. Yet within that delicate framework lies a spark of awareness, the ability to learn, to remember, and to adjust to the world around them. Butterflies rely not only on instinct, but also on experience. Scientists have discovered that they can remember the locations of food sources. Learning which flowers hold the richest nectar, they return again and again to the same blossoms, guided not just by scent and vision. In their wanderings, they weave mental maps of meadows and gardens, choosing paths that save energy, paths that lead them back to abundance. Even their caterpillar stage carries traces of memory forward. Experiments have shown that caterpillars trained to associate certain scents with mild discomfort can sometimes retain that memory after emerging as butterflies, as though transformation does not erase the lessons learned in earlier forms. Imagine carrying knowledge across not just years, but lifetimes. For the butterfly, memory persists even through metamorphosis. Adaptation is another quiet intelligence they carry. In landscapes altered by humans, farms, gardens, cities, some butterflies learn to feed on unfamiliar flowers, adjusting their habits to survive. Others shift their flight patterns in response to changing climates, emerging earlier in spring or traveling farther than their ancestors ever did. Fragile though they appear, butterflies are not helpless. They are learners, adjusting in small but meaningful ways. And there is subtlety in how they respond to predators. Some species, when startled, do not flee immediately. Instead, they pause, fold their wings, and wait, relying on camouflage until danger passes. Others alter their flight patterns, zigzagging unpredictably, making capture harder. These are not random flutters, but strategies honed by memory and experience. If you close your eyes, you might imagine a single butterfly drifting across a meadow. At first it seems aimless, but watch closely. It returns again and again to the same flower patch, pauses on the same sunlit stone, chooses its landings with quiet intention. Beneath its fragile appearance lies awareness, not human, not vast, but enough to shape its days, enough to guide its survival. In the end, butterflies remind us that intelligence is not always measured in words or tools. Sometimes, it is the quiet ability to adapt, to remember, to carry lessons forward across fragile lifetimes. Their wings may be fragile, but their minds carry echoes of resilience, written in memory, as delicate and enduring as the patterns on their scales. When we see a butterfly in the garden, we imagine it as fragile, fleeting, a creature of blossoms, its flight a gentle dance. Yet behind that delicate image lies a strength that is easy to overlook. Butterflies are not only wanderers of flowers, some are travelers of astonishing distances, their wings carrying them across hundreds of kilometers, through winds, storms, and landscapes vast beyond measure. The monarch is the most famous of these voyagers. Each year, it travels thousands of kilometers between Canada, the United States, and Mexico. But even smaller, lesser-known species carry feats of endurance. Painted ladies, for instance, migrate from Africa into Europe, crossing deserts that seem impossible for wings so slight. Others follow coastlines, enduring strong sea breezes as they pass from one island to another. To achieve such journeys, butterflies depend on the rhythm of the air. They rise with thermals, warm currents of wind, and glide for long distances, saving their energy for when it is most needed. They ride tailwinds, letting the breeze carry them forward like tiny sails. Even in storms, they can endure, clinging to leaves or finding shelter until the skies calm. Scientists marvel at this strength. For a creature that weighs less than a paperclip, to travel such distances is almost unthinkable. And yet, what makes it possible is not brute force, but patience, timing, and instinct. The butterfly does not rush. It waits for the right currents, the right light. In this way, its fragility becomes its strength. It yields to the world rather than forcing its way through. Imagine standing on a coastal cliff, the wind sharp and steady. Across the horizon, tiny wings appear, shimmering against the sea. They drift inland, carried by invisible threads of air, each one fragile, each one determined. They do not know how far they have come, nor how far they must still go. They simply continue, one wingbeat at a time, and in these long flights lies a lesson for us. Endurance does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers. It is not always about force, but about rhythm, knowing when to push, when to rest, when to let the world carry you forward. The butterfly, in its improbable journeys, shows us that even the most delicate beings can cross vast distances, carried by patience, instinct, and the quiet persistence of flight. So the next time you watch a butterfly drift lazily across a garden, remember, within those wings lies the strength to cross mountains, deserts, even oceans, fragile though they seem. Since the earliest days, humans have looked at butterflies and seen more than insects. Their fragile beauty, their sudden transformation from crawling caterpillars into creatures of flight, has stirred something deep in our imagination. Across cultures, across centuries, butterflies have been seen as symbols of the soul, of love, of change, and of the mysteries that lie between life and death. In ancient Greece, the word psyche meant both butterfly and soul. To the Greeks, the butterfly was not just a creature of air, but the very image of the human spirit, fragile yet enduring, capable of leaving the body and soaring beyond. Statues and carvings from the time often show butterflies rising from mouths, a symbol of breath, spirit, and life itself. In Japan, butterflies are woven into traditions of love and marriage. A pair of butterflies fluttering together is seen as a symbol of harmony between partners, of joy and fidelity. In some households, small charms in the shape of butterflies are kept to bless unions and bring peace. In Mexico, the monarch butterfly holds a sacred place. Each autumn, as millions arrive from the north, they coincide with the Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. Here, to see a monarch drifting across the air during this time is to feel a presence both tender and eternal. Elsewhere, in Celtic traditions, butterflies represented transformation and rebirth, the soul's passage from one world into another. In China, they appear in poetry and art as symbols of immortality, freedom, and the pursuit of joy. Even in modern times, we release butterflies at weddings, funerals, and celebrations, reminders that life is fleeting, yet filled with beauty. Why do butterflies hold such power over our imagination? Perhaps because they mirror our own lives. They begin in darkness, humble and earthbound, then retreat into stillness, dissolving and reshaping. Finally, they emerge with wings, transformed into something luminous and free. They embody change, and in that change, we see ourselves, our struggles, our hopes, our search for meaning. Picture a twilight meadow, a butterfly rising slowly into the fading light. For those who watch, it is not only a winged insect, but a message of love, of the soul's journey, of the beauty found in endings and beginnings. Across cultures and time, butterflies remind us that fragility can hold great meaning, and that transformation is not only possible, but inevitable. The story of the butterfly is, above all, a story of time. From egg to caterpillar, from chrysalis to winged flight, each stage is brief, each moment passing swiftly into the next. Their entire lives may last only days or weeks, and yet in that short span, they embody transformation, resilience, and grace. To watch a butterfly is to be reminded of impermanence. Its wings, dazzling though they are fragile things, scales that can be brushed away with a single touch, colors that fade with age, flights that end too soon, and yet it does not cling to its days with fear. It moves gently through them, sipping nectar, basking in the sun, resting upon flowers as if time were enough. Exactly as it is, there is wisdom in this. The butterfly does not live for years, does not build monuments, does not seek permanence. Its life is fleeting, yet it is full of transformation, of journeys across mountains and forests, of quiet acts that sustain ecosystems. In its fragility, it carries meaning greater than its size. For us, too, life is fragile. Days slip quickly into years, and years pass into memory. The butterfly teaches us that this is not something to fear, but something to embrace. Each moment is precious not because it lasts forever, but because it does not. Beauty, like wings, is brightest when we pause to notice it. So the next time you see a butterfly drift across your path, take a moment to watch. See how the light trembles on its wings, how its flight seems effortless, how it pauses as if to remind you to breathe. In that brief encounter, you may find a lesson that life, no matter how short, can be luminous, that transformation is always possible, and that wonder is always near, if only we look. And when the butterfly vanishes into the air, remember, it has not truly gone. Its presence lingers in the flowers it pollinated, in the seeds that will grow, in the soil that holds its memory. It remains, as all life does, a thread in the great fabric of the world. Butterflies, in their silence, invite us to slow down, to notice, to cherish. They are not only creatures of beauty, but teachers of time, whispering with each wingbeat that our lives, too, are brief, but filled with the possibility of light.